In this video, I will give you a short demonstration of the Artix Connect for WCF product. In the demonstration, we're going to see a stock purchasing application written in C#. It's written using Visual Studio. It uses a WinForms-based UI. It's a 100% .NET application. Using the Artix Connect for WCF product, it's going to be able to call into a stock quote service implemented using Corba. It's going to get a stock quote from that service. It's going to use IOP on the wire, which is the Corba protocol. It's a synchronous call. So it's going to take that stock price that it gets and display that to the user, and we'll see that. And then the user can choose how many shares of that stock he or she would like to purchase. And then when the purchase button is clicked, a message is placed on a JMS queue, again using the Artix Connect for WCF product, it'll place that message on a queue, which is managed by a JMS messaging broker. A stock purchasing backend system implemented in Java will consume that message, place the order, process the order for that stock, and then it will respond asynchronously, again using JMS, to tell the stock purchasing application that the shares have been purchased. Finally, we're going to stop the stock purchasing backend and bring it back up just to show that messages get replayed by the broker when the service comes back up. That's just a normal feature of a JMS messaging broker. Let's take a look. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'll open up Visual Studio and we'll take a look at the stock application that I just described. And the first thing I want to show you is the application before I've connected it to the backend systems. So it's a very simple dialogue-based application, as you can see. It has a drop-down with two choices for stocks. So I'll choose Microsoft, and by default it just gives a 0 value because, again, there's no connection to the stock quote service. And then we'll give a quantity of 1 that we want to purchase, and we click Purchase. Doesn't do anything, but we can see how it works as a matter of the GUI. Alright, so let's close that. Now, the next step is to hook it up to the back end. We'll right-click on the project. We'll click Add Adapter Service Reference, and this starts the Microsoft Line of Business Adapter wizard. And in the Select a Binding drop-down, we can see that the Artix adapter binding has been registered, and that's been registered as a part of the installation of Artix Connect for WCF. So I'll just click that and then click Configure. We don't need to change any defaults, so I click OK. Then I click Connect, and we're able to configure our endpoint. So we'll start with JMS. So here we need to type in some of the settings related to the JMS broker and the queue that we'll be using. And I happen to know the names of the queues that we'll be working with. And these are pieces of information that you should be able to get from the administrator of the Java messaging service in your organization. Okay, just a few minimal pieces of information required here. This is the address of the JMS broker. Okay, click Next. Now by default we have an untyped interface to our JMS service. If we want a typed interface, we can provide a Java class file. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Gotta choose the right class file. There it is. And now we get a typed interface. So we see the operations and the types all listed here in this little tree control. We could have added those manually, but being able to just import a Java class file makes it a lot easier. So we'll click Next. And it's going to generate for us some C# source code so that we will have a very easy interface to work with from within our C# application. Okay, then we're going to add a Corba endpoint here. So we'll click Corba. Click Next. Now the two pieces of information we need for Corba are a little different than what we needed to provide for JMS. With Corba, we need an interface definition language IDL file. We'll choose that. There. And we need IOR, which is essentially an address. You can choose that. Okay, and click Next. So now we have both of our services. You can see very few pieces of information were required there. So very simple to set that up. And we can go into each of these and we can say which of the available operations we want to add to our C# interface. So in the case of the JMS service, we want to add the buy shares operation. And the stock quote service, we want to have access to the price. Okay, so we'll be able to get the value of the price. So we've added both of those operations, and we click OK. And you can see it has generated a new file here called Artix Adapter Binding Client.cs, and that's our C# generated C# stub code. All right, so you can see here in the source code for our stock application, we've commented out the calls to that generated code because obviously this would not have compiled before we created that stub code. But now that we have created it through running that wizard, we can now uncomment the code, and we can show you how it's running. So let's uncomment those blocks and let's rebuild. Okay, and we'll just go ahead and run it. Okay, now before I actually run these things, I'll show you I'm already running in the background here the Java stock trading service that's going to consume the JMS message. And this is the output of the JMS broker that's also running, okay, the Fuse message broker. And then this is the output of the Corba stock price quoting system. So we'll see some output in each of these screens. First we'll see the request for the price, and then we'll see the handling of the purchase request. Okay, so let's choose Microsoft. The first time it calls it, it's a little bit slower than the subsequent calls, but we can see that it returns a value of 30. Okay, so and what we can take a look at is in the Corba stock price quoting system, it has received a message and it's returned 30, and that's what we see here. And then we choose we want to buy, I don't know, 10 shares. Let's just bring up the stock trading service. There it is. And I'm going to say, okay, go ahead and purchase 10 shares. Click Purchase. And we should see a message being processed, and there it is. Received order to purchase 10 shares. And then we got a message back, and the application put up a dialog box that said, successfully purchased 10 shares. So we can see that we have successfully called a Corba system and a system that processes JMS messages, all from our .NET application, and it was very simple to do. Finally, I will stop this Java stock trading service, and we'll see that we can actually keep doing stock trades, but we don't get a response back. However, when we start up the service again, let's go ahead and start that up, we'll see that it receives the message. It says received order to purchase 20 shares. So that's because the JMS broker had queued up the message and played it back as soon as the Java stock trading service came up again. So what we've seen here is how you can very easily add connectivity to a Corba and JMS backend using the Artix Connect for WCF product. Thanks for watching.